Personally, I've been mostly quarantined here in my recording studio from weeks on end. I go out very, very rarely. I'm one of those high-risk guys, you know. I'm really susceptible to things like bronchitis and pneumonia, and I've got asthma. In fact, I only have 50% lung capacity, but you didn't know that. You're crazy. I know that because the U.S. Army told me so. Years ago, I tried to join the U.S. Army. They tested me and they said, "You, sir, have only 50% lung capacity, and you've got asthma and flat feet, and you're just plain ugly. In fact, sir, you're just really not Army material." It hurts a guy. I got over it. So, moving right along, yesterday, for the first time in weeks, I snuck out of the studio. I didn't tell the wife, and I drove my little tour van down to Target. And I bought a thing for this camera, as a matter of fact, and card. Doesn't matter. So, I go in, and I find the thing, and then I try and check out. Turns out that's more of a challenge than one might think, I guess. Yeah, so there's a line goes all the way back to produce, and there's a couple of really helpful employees, and they're hurting everyone. Well, what's interesting is you pass the actual checkout lanes, they're full of women, because women they buy big baskets and stuff, and then at the very end of the checkout lanes, there's the self-checkout kiosks. And that's just men, because, you know, I got my one thing. Just like all the other men. Guy next to me, he's buying a package of socks. And this really helpful middle-aged woman is in charge of herding the cats, the men, into their kiosks. And she's wearing a mask, because of course she's required to by Target. And she's doing her job, doing her thing. And really for the first time, I take notice of the guy over to my left, because he has taken notice of me. I'm struggling somewhat with the scanning procedure here because, frankly, I don't shop retail that much. But I am pushing through it, or at least I was, and I see him staring at me. And then he points to the mask that I'm wearing. And I thought, oh, good. This'll be a good time for sure. And the word that comes out of his mouth, completely underused on all of the interwebs. First word, the only word, and he speaks it boldly, with confidence. Sheeple. Okay. So you know what I did? I gave him the hairy eye. This surprised him, which kind of surprised me. He squinted back at me. And I gave him the hairy eye some more. And I said, "Buddy, go away. Don't talk to me. You're annoying. Don't share your silly opinions with me. I don't care about your opinions. Just the thing, and you're talking, and it hurts my ears when you do that." And all of this seems to take him somewhat aback. And he stares at me intently. I could see the wheels. They're spinning in his head. Whenever you confront another man on any kind of an issue, you never really know what's going to happen. You don't know what the results could possibly be. It's always that rare outside possibility that fisticuffs may come out. I want to make sure I turned my microphone on. But it didn't in this case, and that was nice. And I could see that at some point he had decided maybe it wasn't worth it. Maybe. The problem was for him, I was a hard target. But standing behind him, the nice middle-aged female Target employee, is what we call a soft target. And he decided that for reasons unbeknownst to me, now was the moment in his life. It was his time to shine. It was time for him to place his flag in this soil, concrete, this tile floor. At this moment, it was time for him to take his stand. Yes, it was up to him to save all the rest of the sheeple, of which he was not one. He says to her, and I quote, "You shouldn't wear that." And she looks at him like, You shouldn't wear that. Now, of course, she has no choice, because it's all just a big media conspiracy, driven entirely by a media hype, and all she can do is nod her head. She can't say, bugger off, because she's an employee. He goes on to explain to her how it's all a government conspiracy, which is apparently different than a media conspiracy. And then he goes on to explain to her how the media and some governments are in cahoots on this, and they've created the whole thing, and they've made the whole thing up. And he's just going on and on. And I'm thinking to myself, I've finished checking out my little card now. I should leave. Yeah, I can't leave. Was this a monster of my making? No. But yet, I can't just let him hassle this soft target. This poor woman. She's just trying to do her job. Buddy! Shut him upicus. That's a quote. And that's great. You could have heard a pin drop. He snaps his head around, and he gives me the squint. You can see, I think he's looking to see if I've got my fists up and I'm ready to go. You can see the women all around us, because I said it quite loud. There's that ever subtle shrink in the females. They're like, uh-oh. Are the lions going to go at it now? Is there going to be blood all over the place that has nothing to do with us, but inevitably we get caught in the crossfire because they're jerks? It's a guy thing, I'm sorry. And then you see all the men, because all the men are in the kiosks around us doing their self-checkout. They all fall silent. They all turn, they all stare directly at us. I hope there's a fight. That'd be really cool. It's a male thing. You just kind of have to understand that guys are just like that. Sorry about that, all you women who are married to us. I know. We don't really ever grow out of that, I don't think. So he's staring at me intently, and I'm staring back. There you are. And I can see his wheels going overtime. What's he gonna do next? Somehow the stupid thought crosses his head. He goes, oh, there it is, stupid thought. And he grabs it and he stuffs it right back into his brain, and he says to me, sheeple. Apparently, this is the limit of his vocabulary on this particular topic. And I'm thinking to myself, 75% of the people in Target aren't wearing masks just like him, so I'm wondering which one's the sheeple. But, I digress. I just do theologian and song stuff. I don't do the math and the statistics. But apparently he does. He goes on to explain to me that this entire thing is what's the words he used here? Conspiracy of the media empire. I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't think he has any idea what he's talking about either, but he has convinced himself that he has insider knowledge, the inside track. He knows what everyone else does not. And he has convinced himself, and I've seen a lot of this lately, that his knowledge is not opinion, but fact. And my knowledge, whatever it may be, is opinion and cannot be fact. I'm beginning to see the emotions in him swirl as he's trying to decide how to bring me down verbally and intellectually. But typically in public, I don't sound like a man who you should intellectually spar with. I get that a lot. People back off from that, and I understand that. He could probably take me to fight, but, we weren't going to come to that. I wasn't going to be that aggressive, and I don't think he was planning on being that aggressive either. But I could see the emotions, and I've begun to worry. He wasn't thinking anymore. He was emoting. He was making all the broad assumptions that we, as conservative people, and I normally march lockstep with conservative ideology, more or less, he had become a ball of emotion. He was just emoting his thoughts. He didn't have anything, really. And he was just throwing things out there. If you throw enough against the wall, you hope something stick. And nothing really was. Isn't this the way Antifa works? Appears to me it's the way Antifa works. Make some wild claim based on insider information and then just emote about it over and over. Is there a government conspiracy here? Well, yeah, it's a government. Of course there's a government conspiracy. Congress exists, therefore there's a government conspiracy. Isn't that the point of Congress? It's a conspiracy. That's like its thing. We know it's its thing. Even Congress knows it's thing. It discusses it amongst themselves once in a while. We've all agreed to the rules. It's a government conspiracy, sure. Is it a conspiracy of scientists who are getting together and trying to misinform us about all sorts of things? Sure, I'm sure some of them are. Yeah, probably. I don't know. You don't know. That's the point. He didn't know. None of us know. Because we're busy making our own conspiracies about the conspiracies. I don't really get that. Is it a conspiracy of globalism? Probably. There's always a conspiracy of globalism. That's the point of globalism. People are involved. People are conspiratorial. People are Kabbalists. I am. You are. We all are. So none of that strikes me as particularly newsworthy or noteworthy. Anyway, I babbled on too much. We finish our purchases. We exit together. He speaks no more on the topic. We're not on the best of terms, but we do leave without fisticuffs, at least. And I got him to quit hassling the poor woman who was just trying to do her job. I get it, folks. There's a lot of garbage going on out there. It's hard to know who to believe and who not to believe. No, I don't trust anybody any more than you do. And I'm not suggesting I know any more about this than the rest of you. I am, however, suggesting that none of you know any more about this than I do either. So at least we're all on a level playing field of almost utter ignorance, at least from my perspective. But whatever your feelings on the topic are, if I want to wear a mask downtown, the moral of the story is, leave me the heck alone! Good Lord, people, get a grip! Thank you.